Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to the final episode of How to Minecraft. In this series, I have been going through all of the very basics of how to play Minecraft. And we've gone mining, we've crafted, we've survived, and in the last episode, we built this. Our very first house, and isn't she beautiful? Don't you think so? Do you like the house? Nope, the Googlies don't like the house because the Googlies don't like it, because when I'm inside, that means they can't get us. So let me go and take out a few of the things. Actually, something that I did mention before is that the spiders are friendly in the day, and that is true unless you attack them, and then they become a lot less friendly. Skeletons, on the other hand, are always not friendly, so let's go and take these out so they're not going to be bothering us as we try and carry on building the rest of the house. And all we need to do now is build the inside, because from the outside it looks like a very lovely home, but on the inside it's a little bit bland and empty. I added my bed down here. I also put a chest full of all of the things that I had in the old house. I moved it all across, and I also brought across a crafting table and my furnace as well. And so I've done a little bit of decorating, and already it looks a little bit less empty. But the problem is that there's only so many useful items in Minecraft. You have chests and crafting tables and beds, but apart from that, there's not much furniture. And so what we need to do is use our imaginations. And that might sound a little bit rubbish, but trust me, you can really do some cool things when you put your mind to it. For example, I want to make a table and chairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some stairs. I am also going to make some signs. And look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go and place down the stairs like this. Then I'm going to take my signs. If I put one actually on the side of the chair, and then one on the other side of the chair, just placing it on the actual block. Look, I have built myself a chair. And this can be a wooden chair, it could be a stone chair, it could be a sandstone chair. There's all sorts of different types of stairs you can have, and therefore all sorts of different chairs. And then if I place one on this side, and I'm going to do this sign here, I'm then going to go and make myself another sign, and I might need some more of these later anyway. So for signs, it's just 6 wooden planks and a stick, and for that you get 3 of them. I can place this down here. I now have 2 chairs facing each other, which granted looks a little bit weird, but in the middle I am going to put a table down, and I'm going to do a very cool design for this table. I'm going to take some fences, and I'm then going to make something called a pressure plate. And pressure plates are part of redstone, but they're very simple when used by themselves. And this is what they look like. You can have either smooth stone ones or wooden ones. I'm going to do wooden ones. I'm going to do a few as well, because I'm going to show you what these do in general anyway after this. But if I come here and place down the fence, you can see that if I do one fence by itself, it just makes a pole. Then if I do one next to it, it links up to make a proper fence. This is very useful, because if ever you need to have just a pole, you can use a fence. And then if I place the pressure plate on top of it, it looks like a little table. So I have now built a little table and chairs, but that's really stairs, a sign, a fence, and a pressure plate. But all together, it looks like a table and chairs. And then you can kind of just squat on the chairs and pretend you're sitting down. It doesn't really work. But these pressure plates are really good. So if I placed it down here next to the door, if I went and walked on it, it opens the door. And then that way, once I go through, it will shut by itself. And you could do one on both sides. I don't recommend doing them to outside of your house though, because imagine that there's a googly walking along here and he comes up, he can just walk straight in as well. The wooden ones, if there's any item on them as well, they will open. The stone ones, they need to be an actual what's called an entity on them, a person or a googly or an animal. Once they walk on, then it's going to open up. So I don't recommend having one on the outside. And there's all sorts of decorations you can do in here. For example, I could put up some paintings. If I grab some wool that I sheared earlier, and if I make a whole load of sticks, I go along to decorations, I can make myself a painting. And paintings can be very simply just placed on the wall like this. And then they're kind of a bit random in terms of what painting you get. Some of them are very small, some of them are going to be much bigger, like this. Oh no, not like that one. Come on, give me a big one. Give me a big one. Is it not going to give me a big one? Yeah, so they are completely random. There we go. There's a little bit of a bigger one. You could also do something called an item frame, and these are really great for decoration. And to make them, you need a little bit of leather, which you obviously get from cows. And they're right next to paintings. And item frames are cool because you can put whatever you want in them. So say if I really like gold, I can get a bit of gold, and I can go and place it in the item frame. So I place the item frame on the wall, then press left trigger again, and then whatever I'm holding is in the item frame. And so this is also a nice way, when I was talking about in the last episode, having a storage room, you could maybe have all of the item frames showing what is in the chest as a very quick visual way of being able to see whatever you want in there. And as well as fences, something else which is very useful for decorating is something similar, is actually iron bars. And these are like fences. If you place them by themselves, they look like this. Then when you press another one, they link up. But say if you wanted to make it look like something was dangling, say if I wanted to have a chandelier, I could have a few of these, actually maybe just one of them. I could then put a block on top of it. I'm just going to do some oak wood here. Then I could go and get my torches and put them all the way around the outside, and it kind of looks like there's a chain holding it up. So there's all sorts of fun things like that that you can do to try and do some decorations. But there are some more obvious things. For example, you could have a bookcase. And to make a bookcase, I'm first going to need some sugarcane, and I'm sure I saw some around here. Here we go. There's some sugarcane down here. You see this this sort of very lime green, kind of bamboo-y looking thing? It's very common. It's all over the place. And to grow it, all you need to do is place it next to water. And if it's on sand, then it grows extra quick. And I need this to try and make books. And then books can then be made into bookshelves. And I can see some more in the distance over here. I'm also going to shear this sheep. No, I'm not, because the sheep just jumped into a ravine. Oh, here we go. He's coming back out. And try and get a bit more wool. And remember, the best way to decorate, in my mind, is by having coloured wool, which you get from dyeing and shearing sheep. So say if I wanted some grey wool. Actually, I'm going to show you how to get some yellow wool. So if I get this yellow flower, I can go and make it into yellow dye. And then I can dye the sheep and shear it. Then I'm going to go and get myself some yellow wool. And oh no, wrong button. That was the bow and arrow rather than the shears. You don't want to do that. And I'm going to make this yellow wool into something else in a minute. And let me just go and get a little bit more from this sheep down here. And so these sheep, I can just keep coming back to them, these sheep, and just keep getting more and more wool from them. It's very useful. And I do actually want some flowers anyway for something else I'm going to show you. You can see there's some yellow flowers down here and some red ones up there. On different versions, there's different flowers. On the consoles, you're going to get red and yellow ones. On the Pocket Edition, there's also blue ones you can get. And on the consoles, there's even more. On a PC, sorry, there's absolutely loads of different ones. Anyway, you might notice I'm gathering a new weird block down here. This is actually clay. And clay can be used to be turned into bricks, which is what it's most commonly used for. But you can also make some other things out of it, which I'm going to go and show you now and do a few more decorations. So let me go back inside my house. And first, I'm going to show you how to make a bookshelf. And so first, I need to take my sugarcane and I need to make it all into paper. If I make it into paper and then add some leather, I should be able to make books. And I don't know if I've got enough leather. I might have to go and take out some of my cows. No, that only made one book. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to do this. Look away from the screen. I hope you didn't get too attached to my cows, but they're here for a reason. So let me go in and take a few of them out. And then that way I'm going to get myself some beef and some leather. And this is why you have these animal farms, to try and get lots of materials quickly. So let's take these out. So I've got a whole load of food and also a bunch of leather. But you always want to make sure you at least leave two. So then that way you can keep breeding them and get even more of them in the future. So I should have hopefully got enough leather there to make myself some more books. So let me go along here and make myself some books. And there we go. If I have 6 pieces of wood, wooden planks, and 3 books, I can make myself a bookcase. And this just looks quite nice. I can put this down here and say it's my bedside table, and maybe put a little torch on it like that and say, there we go. That's my little bedside table. And now I'm going to go and grab the clay. And I'm going to put it into the furnace. I don't need too much of it, but the reason I'm doing this is to make a flower pot. And I'm going to go and put my flowers in it. You can't just put flowers in it. There's a whole load of different plants that you can put in it. You can put in saplings or even cacti and other things like that. But I'm going to put in some flowers. But I'm also going to make something out of that yellow wool that we gathered. If I go along to decorations, you can see I can actually make carpet. And what I actually prefer doing, rather than using carpet, is actually having the floor made out of wool. But say if there was a room underneath me, and I wanted the ceiling to be stone, I could actually do carpet. And you place it down on the ground like this. The only problem is that you couldn't then place anything on top of it. Say if I wanted to put a pressure plate on top of it, I can't. Also, something to bear in mind is every item in the game is a block. even if it doesn't look like one. For example, this sign here, it doesn't look like a block, does it? It looks like just a line. But if I try to place something on this block here, I can't, because this is taking up the entire block, which means I couldn't put carpet down here. And so that's something to bear in mind, and it's the same with everything. Say there's this torch here, I couldn't put another torch there, even though if it looks like it would fit in, because that torch is blocking it. I'd have to place it down here. So that's something to bear in mind. Anyway, I should have a few bricks now. And so I could make these bricks into a brick block, which is this here, which is just something else that you could build out of. Maybe I could make a brick chimney, but this is here what the brick looks like. I really like the look of it actually, but I can also, if I have 3 bricks, which I do, I can go along to decorations and I can make myself a plant pot. And so I once again need to place it on something. Well, I could do it on the floor, but I want to do it on a table. So let's go and let's put this down here in the corner, and I can go and put my plant pot on it, and then I can go and put my flower in it. So there we go. There's just another nice way of decorating, and you can get really imaginative. Like something else which is quite cool, which isn't something that many people do, but I like doing, is putting a moose head on the wall. And so what you could do is put some stairs up, and if I put 2 blocks underneath for now, I can put gates up like that and like that. And then I can go and get my axe and get rid of these blocks, and that's supposed to look like a moose's head on the wall. So you can kind of get an idea of how inventive you can get with some of these things in terms of decorating your home in all of these fun and fancy ways. And the best thing to do is just to go to a crafting table and just scroll through everything, and then you'll get an idea of, oh, I could have a fishing rod, or, you know, I could do this, and there's all these different types of food to make. So having playing the console version is great just for looking through all of the different things that you can make. And so, for example, you see, oh, there's a minecart. What do I need to make a minecart? I can look in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen and see, okay, I need 6 pieces of iron and a stick. So you can then go out and gather those materials and then make it and then play around with it and try and work out what it does. But I like the look of this place. It's a bit random with the little bit of carpet and all sorts, but I think this place looks fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to bed, and in the morning I'm going to start talking about redstone. Okay, and don't switch off here. Redstone is quite complicated, so I need you all to pay attention. But when used correctly, it can do some amazing things. So I talked about it briefly in a past episode. I want you to think about it like wiring. Think of it like a trail of electricity. And so I place it on the ground, and you can see that it all links up. And I could do this all like spaghetti all over the place and do trails absolutely everywhere. And in its basic form, I could use it to activate a block. And there's lots of blocks you can activate. For example, this door, I could open and close it. You can make things called redstone lanterns, which can be turned on and off. There's things like pistons that can get extended and then pulled back again. You could activate TNT with it. There's so many amazing things that it can do. But for starters, I'm going to show you just how to switch it on and off again. And so I'm going to get a little bit of cobblestone, and then I'm going to use that with a stick to make something called a lever, which is just a lever like you'd expect. And then I'm going to use this to open and close the door. So say if I put this lever here, it's there connected to the redstone. You can see the redstone trail is going to it. So if I switch it, the door's going to open. Then if I switch it off again, the door's going to shut. And I could hide this redstone under the ground so I could maybe open and close a door from far away. So that is it in its most basic form. But it gets very complicated very fast, and you can do amazing things in it. People have made clocks inside of Minecraft. People have made whole computers. What I mainly use it for is mini games. I like making lots of fun mini games where I'm playing with my friends or by myself to try and do challenges. And sometimes I might need redstone to keep the time of the game, or I might need it to open certain doors at certain times. And there's all lots of amazing things I can do. I did something recently where I had to shoot arrows, and I had to shoot arrows at a certain number of wooden buttons. And if I managed to shoot all 4 of them in time, a door opens. And they're the kind of things that you can do. I'm not going to go too in-depth now because I don't want to confuse you, but what I will suggest doing is just having a play with it. Just start placing down some redstone, using some levers and some buttons, and going to the crafting table and looking in this tab, the mechanisms, and seeing all of the different things. Like, oh look, here's a trip wire. What will that do? Or using a pressure plate, I could here say make a piston. And if I place the piston here, I could then go and switch this on and off, and you can see the piston ascending and descending. But then I could put a block above it, and then switch it, and then the block will stay there, but then the piston will come back down. So you can kind of get an idea of all of the fun and creative things that you can do, as well as doing mechanisms without using redstone. There are other things you could do. For example, you might want to set up an automatic farm. Say if I had this pool of water here, and I put a tree growing in it, I could do a trail of water leading from it, which will gather up all of the saplings for me. So say if I dig away here, you can see there's a trail of water going, and oh, that was a creeper. That was a creeper behind me. You want to watch out for that. Luckily, I got lots of armor on, so I wasn't hurt. So let me try this again. So if I do a trail of water leading from here, going down in this direction, you'll see that all of the blocks go across on the water. So if you need to transport blocks around, you can use water, and then you can do fun things like blocking the water. If I put down a pressure plate, it's going to stop the water, and then you could go and guide it so it goes around somewhere else. And so there's so many endless possibilities, and I don't want to overwhelm you too much. All I want to do is recommend that you go online, watch other videos, maybe watch some of my minigame videos, and hopefully get inspired. I just want to give you a few sparks and let you realize the possibilities, because to be honest, a lot of the fun comes when you're discovering discovering these things for yourself. And so once you've got to this point where you've got a house and you've decorated it and you're quite happy with it, I recommend maybe exploring the land, being careful not to get lost, and also maybe trying to go online to do some mini games. This is called survival mode, and this is where you're playing either by yourself or with friends, trying to survive and build things and coming up with projects. There's also mini games. The most popular game is probably Hunger Games, which is like a recreation of the film of Hunger Games when you're playing to survive. But there's loads and loads of mini games, mainly on PC, that you can go and play, which are great fun. And another very easy challenge that I recommend doing is fighting bosses. There's a number of bosses in the game, and the most famous is probably the Ender Dragon. Something that I've not spoke about much on purpose is the fact that there's actually other dimensions. This is called the Overworld. There's also something called the End, and then the Nether as well. And in them, there's lots of different types of blocks and enemies and foes, and what I recommend trying to do is to defeat the Ender Dragon. And I'm not going to give you too much information of how to do it, but if you're looking for an early challenge, if you're someone that likes to have goals set for you rather than making your own goals, then that's definitely something that I recommend doing. But sadly though, we have just about come to the end of this series here, so hopefully you did find it useful if you have just started Minecraft, and this has given you a few ideas of how to build and how to mine, and just basically a few basics of Minecraft, just to get you on your way before you go and start your journey of discovery. And one last tip I want to give you is make sure you're playing with friends, preferably someone that's played Minecraft before, so they can help you out. And I always think that playing Minecraft with other people is so much more fun than playing by yourself. So if you are getting bored, definitely try and get some friends or family involved and try playing with them. And once you've played for a little bit, maybe teaching them how to play might be a fun way for you to have some fun times together and learn the next steps of Minecraft together. Anyway, as I said, that is the end of this series here. Hopefully you'll learn lots, and I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!